Joined now by spokesperson for Republican Overseas, Erol Morkoc. Good to see you this morning, Erol. How close is the United States to meeting its war aims now? And do you think that President Trump has given up on the idea of regime change?
Well, it's a little bit too early to say if he's given up on it, but certainly the increased strikes and the increased pressure they're putting on indicates that they are framing this in a tighter window than anybody who would be going for a long-term excursion would. If he is not able to get regime change in terms of replacing the Ayatollahs in general, then I think it will be something that he will have had to back off on, because the domestic appetite for this war, as far as a land invasion or extended stay, is not there. However, there has been an incredible amount of success in removing Iranian installations, whether that be permanent or naval installations, as well as ships, and of course cutting down the size and scope of the military leadership. So you're down to one-star generals, and therefore we are expecting fractures inside of the IRGC and hopefully an internal uprising. But it's fair to ask if the scope is going to change as the weeks drag on.
But President Trump now will have one eye on the midterms, won't he? He'll see the impact that this is already having on the US economy, and he knows this isn't popular amongst the electorate. So it would seem he will try and wrap this up. But do you think he'll be able to now?
Well, he does have the sort of ability that he told George Bush that he could have had, which is just to one day declare mission accomplished and actually leave. George Bush declared mission accomplished and then hung around for 10 years. So it all comes into the style and how he wants to do it. Domestically, at least, for U.S. oil supplies, the U.S. consumer isn't being squeezed as hard as this is going to hit Asia or Europe. 80% of the oil through the Strait of Hormuz goes to Asia. So America is a little bit insulated from this in the short term. Trump can weather the storm for another maybe 6 or 8 weeks before any of those price shocks come. But if you look at the midterms, the other thing to take away is probably the Democrats will take the House, and the Senate seems to be a safe Republican stronghold. So with that coming up, I think the impetus for these attacks before the midterms, ironically, was there because we are going to probably lose the House in the midterms.
Well, what has he taken in Iran? What has he taken in the Middle East?
Well, he's taken the concept of proliferation, I think, off of the table for the surrounding Gulf states, which was the main impetus, I believe, for this. When you consider if Iran got the bomb, then Saudi Arabia was going to get the bomb, Qatar was going to get the bomb, Turkey was going to get the bomb. Everybody's already made backdoor deals with whether it be Pakistan or China or Russia. So the idea there, of course, is after 47, 48 years of sort of a Iranian-U.S. standoff, we have finally gone in to at least destroy what is existing of the IRGC's stockpiles and or military projection capabilities. Now the question comes is, will we be able to sustain that only from the air? And was that enough and worth it? So far, we haven't had tremendous casualties on our side. They have on their side. So from a force multiplier aspect, we have completely won this war. However, what is the point of that in the long run remains to be seen.
He doesn't want the long run, does he? He wants it a short run. He wants it over quickly. How's he going to do that?
Well, he's going to effectively try a full kill mechanism approach where he doesn't stop pounding the leadership. And every time there's a new head of the snake, he goes to cut it off. Israeli intelligence on the ground is there. The objective here is a very bold roll of the dice. And inside of the time frame that he has to do it, it seems unlikely that he could pull it off. But unlikely is what Donald Trump does. And certainly the U.S. military and the Pentagon has had contingency plans, has had these plans for many decades. So it is not though Donald Trump is coming with his own personal plan. Rather, the Department of War does have an objective, and perhaps they've obfuscated that a little bit from the public. But on a pure numbers game, they seem to really be taking out their leadership, taking out their launcher sites, and taking out their naval capabilities and the ability to rebuild those. So now it comes down to, will he be able to extract the oil from Iran in terms of international shipping, like he did with Venezuela, in a peaceful way, or will that sort of spiral into an economic catastrophe for the entire world?
Erol Morkoc, thank you very much for joining us.